Welcome to today's episode of the podcast where we discuss the most recent installments of a different series every show. It's Friday, August 15th. On this day in 1977, Ohio State's radio telescope detected a mysterious radio signal from deep space, dubbed the WOW signal, as in the guy who saw it or heard it just wrote down wow.
Oh, so W-O-W, okay.
No, when he was listening to it, it was just a loud bang, so he was like, this is crazy. To this day, we don't know where or how it originated, and so it's fitting that we now get to discuss Alien Earth. Alien Earth is an American science fiction horror television series that premiered on FX Tuesday night, and my thoughts are this. Good for FX.
Good for FX.
After the awful mess of Lucy in the Sky, that 2019 bomb of a movie, you could have held me at gunpoint, and I still would never have given Noah Hawley the rights to touch anything space-related again, let alone put him in full control of creative, writing, directing, producing one of the biggest space-related IPs in Hollywood. And like this, at the end of last year, we went and we checked the IMDb list of most anticipated TV shows. Right. This was number one. And so him being in charge of it, it's crazy.
Well, not only that, what was the biggest show of FX last year?
Oh, Shogun.
Yes,
Shogun, of course. And that actually came out at the beginning of last year, didn't it?
Right, yes, February. Do you know what the budget for that was?
Oh, it was expensive. It was like one of the most expensive ones they'd made.
It was $250 million.
Yes.
Alien Earth beats that. The budget is so big that FX didn't even release the amount of money that the budget was. But taking that into consideration, if you I bought like the blockbusters, I got the production budgets for those for this year. It beats out Superman, the Minecraft movie.
How many episodes is this?
8.
Okay, it's 8 episodes. Chief of War is 9 episodes. Do you want to guess what the budget on that one is? Because we're going to be reviewing that next.
Maybe it's more like $300 million?
$350 million.
Oh, okay.
So it's like $36 million an episode or something like that. But how many shows have we done where we have these huge budgets, we have a talented cast, we have famous directors that just turn around to be like meh?
Citadel, I think about Citadel, yeah.
Secret Invasion. How many shows based on movies just end up stroking off the originals for brownie points? American Gigolo, Fatal Attraction, Willow, like they're just making them for nostalgia's sake, and they think that they can pull in an audience that way. But this show, not only was it just a huge gamble because they're switching mediums from a pretty successful movie that came out last year, right? Alien Romulus?
Yeah.
It was a surprise success, but and then moving it over to TV, and it was a gamble that delivered.
Well, the thing that's strange about it is that I feel like the MCU has conditioned people to believe that once a movie comes out, a TV show that's based off of the same canon comes out shortly after, they're supposed to be connected some way.
Doom Prophecy?
I think Doom Prophecy. I also think Black Widow and Hawkeye.
Yeah, you were talking about Marvel.
Yes, right, but the thing is that I think that was just coincidence with Alien Romulus and Alien Earth, because from what I understand, the director of Alien Romulus, Noah Hawley, had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, but I thought maybe because the franchise was owned by one production, overall, that they would know that there were two different things going on.
No, well, I mean, I don't 100% know about that. This has been in the woodwork though for years. I mean, in 2019, even prior to FX saying that they were going to make this show, Noah Hawley pitched it. And then after the Fox merger, they came out being in early February being we're actually going to make 2 TV shows. One of the TV shows just ended up being a web series that was computer animated, but then Noah Hawley, December 2020, it came out that this was going to be a TV show. They had to wait 2 years for COVID, and then they had the writer's strike where they only filmed the pilot episode.
I understand why they did it, because Noah Hawley for them has been a moneymaker with
absolutely.
Legion and then also Fargo, those two together. I can see why they greenlit this, but it's funny because Noah Hawley, when Lucy in the Sky came out, this was that was his first failure.
Right.
And it was so bad, and the only thing different about it than all his other projects was the fact that it took an astronaut and had her have a mental breakdown, and so it had the space element in it. And at the time, he was signed on to do Star Trek.
Right.
Remember, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
And Star Trek dropped him. And I know that that's probably unrelated, but in my mind, it's well, he failed with Lucy in the Sky. Star Trek dropped him, but FX was like, you know what? We're going to give you a bigger
But
space-related thing.
as you've stated, when it comes to, like, this is one of 3 shows, Fargo, Legion, and Alien Earth, director, writer, executive producer, and creator, where he's been given full control, and it seems like all 3 of those shows are even better than when he was just a writer, executive producer for Bones, or
Well,
even
that was when he was first starting off.
right, or like an executive producer and creator for The Unusuals.
The Unusuals with Jeremy Renner and Amber Tamblyn, if I
Yep.
remember correctly. That was like a 2009.
He also did the My Generation show, which I didn't know that, like, came out in 2010.
It was a 1-season show.
Yeah.
I sort of recall it. But this is a prequel. So you were talking about how the Alien franchise and this aren't as much related, but it is a prequel to the first Alien film. And I've seen the first 2 films. I saw Romulus, but that's about it. I never saw Alien vs. Predator. I don't really know how much the canon has gone forth.
What has your thoughts been on the first 2 Alien films specifically?
Oh, they're good. They're classics. I mean, but they do follow the same kind of set formula. And that's why I think he did what he did. Noah Hawley did what he did in the first few minutes of this, which was basically take that exact character type, the ship, like the story we've seen a billion times over and over again, and kind of give us a flash cut version of that so that we would think, oh, maybe we're going to be stuck with an hour of just retreading the same story. But instead, within 5 minutes, he's recapped the entire thing.
Exactly. When it comes to the motherboard, like even the green text, the way that Alien Earth pops up on screen, even the breakfast
he
scene,
loves that.
It was 100% like the film. And
But don't you remember in Legion, he would also do those like text jumps
all
in
the
there?
time. But I'm just saying that, like, as an homage, because Noah Hawley said he grew up with these films. Yeah, the first 5 minutes were supposed to almost exactly be like it. But I agree. I enjoyed the turnaround as well.
Yeah, and it wasn't just a turnaround like you would expect, like a montage of, look at the aliens broke out and now they're killing everybody. It was more like they were still showing you the very beginning of the crew just learning about each other.
Right.
And in between, there would be these little slices of violence where you would see what had happened in the future and your mind could just put it together and you knew what happened. You didn't have to see everything. Now, later on in the series, they may go back and show us a little bit more of what happened in the Maginot, because I think that's the name of the place. Because they need to explain why Murrow turned on everybody, but I think they've kind of hinted at why already.
Well, I don't know if he really even turned on them, because you saw during the breakfast scene how, like, kind of outcast, or like he's not even trying to be part of the crew.
So there's humans, right?
Yeah.
And then there's synths, which we've all gotten to learn from the first Alien onward. And then he is a cyborg.
Yes.
And so he isn't mistreated the same way that that synths are. People really dislike synths, but cyborgs, they're a little bit more friendly with. However, he turns out to be very dispassionate, very psychotic when it comes to he's going to let the entire crew die for the sake of completing the mission and bringing home the alien, much like the synth.
And I thought that Moro was going to be a complete villain. And again, what he does at the very beginning of the first episode is terrible. I don't think he's going to be a good guy. But I found it weird because I'm trying to understand his motivation. Because in the second episode, we do see that he's trying to take down the alien. In fact, there's this weird echo lost smoke monster scene where the alien kind of lets him live.
Oh, that's happened in the Alien films too, where
Right.
it like sticks its head next to it and then it like runs away and it starts killing other people instead.
But for example, he does save C.J. Hermit. He knocks him out right afterwards, but played by Alex Lothar from the
I
end
don't
of
think
the
he was
Epic
trying to
World.
save him in that scene, and we're jumping way far ahead. We should just go through the show. First few minutes, classic spaceship drama, and then after that, we're introduced to a completely other storyline, which is the Earth part of the Alien Earth storyline. And it's about these terminal children, like with illnesses, who are going to die, and they're brought to this super rich trillionaire guy named Cavalier?
Yeah, Boy Cavalier. Do you recognize where he's from?
No, where is he from?
He's from Atlanta. He's the kid that stole Paperboy's
Yeah.
phone. I have enjoyed him. That episode ended up on my best of list a couple years ago. He's my favorite character here.
He's
I
kind
thought
of playing a Gen Z, like lackadaisical, but also like super in on it.
whenever he
Nerd,
was
yeah.
on screen, he's a bad guy, but whenever he was on screen, I thought that his scenes were great. I thought all the acting was good, but him specifically, I thought he killed it in this. He was also in the Continental. I remember that, in the Sandman as well.
Yeah, I think my favorite character was his henchman. who is, the second in charge,
Mhm.
which is played by Timothy Oliphant. His name is Kirsch, right?
Yes,
And he
and
is a synth.
Noah Hawley has made sure to say that it was Timothy Oliphant that is
For
responsible
the
for his
haircut?
appearance. His appearance. He
It's great.
was the one that wanted to get bleached hair. It's funny because Timothy Oliphant was in season 4 of Fargo, and then Noah Hawley wanted to make it up for him because he cast him as like a deputy U.S. Marshal, which Timothy Oliphant plays all the time. So he was like, you know what? I'm gonna give you a completely
He did
different
that in
role.
Star Wars too, right? In The Mandalorian, he played sort of a sheriff
Right.
as well.
Right.
He's also used to playing sort of a smug prick guy. We saw that in Stick. So this was a nice turn because he still has that attitude to him, but at least he has more of a motivation for it. And I feel like his character has to die at some point in this series, but we'll get into that. So there's the terminal children who have been brought to Prodigy, which is one of 5 conglomeration society areas of Earth that are all competing to have the best tech.
Part Expanse, because I know that there was kind of like 5 people that control the galaxy, I think, in that, or 5 places. And then
There was
also,
Earth and Mars and the belt. Yeah.
but
Okay.
dealing with the kids raised by wolves was the first comparison
Ridley
that I
Scott.
had. Yeah, because, well, yes, Ridley Scott was an
Yeah.
executive producer on this.
Now
He
he's
has
doing Dope Thief. It's funny how they chose Noah Hawley. I wonder if Ridley Scott would have even touched it.
Oh, yeah, well, I know Ridley Scott was in favor of Noah Hawley doing this TV series, but it's interesting because, yeah, with that you had kids, but they, like, ended up getting a sickness as well, but just the whole entire, like, hybrid situation, I was like, this is exactly like the pilot episode of Raised by Wolves.
First kid that we meet isn't Canton or whatever, Campion. Campion, right?
Campion,
It's
yeah.
not Campion. This time it's Marcy. And Marcy is, she's going in for this procedure that's going to transfer her body, her mind, into an adult mind. So she, I think, is like 10 years old, right? A little
Yeah,
bit, maybe older
around
than
there.
that. And so she's going directly into, in real life, Friday
Sydney
Night Lights.
Chandler. Sydney
Yeah, Friday
Chandler.
Night Lights guy, Kyle Chandler's daughter, right?
Yes, Kyle Chandler's daughter, who was also in Pistol. Pistol seems to be a weird show that keeps on being brought up. I know that we talked about Rory Alexander, who was in Outlander, Blood of My Blood. He was in Pistol. Then I saw a weird article a couple days ago about Olivia Rodrigo and how she's been rumored to be secretly engaged. But her boyfriend,
Are we
Alex...
TMZ now?
well, no, it's just, I was going to say, it was like underneath some Maritime article. Alex Partridge, I think, or Louis Partridge maybe, he was in Disclaimer, but he was also in Pistol. She was in Pistol. I don't know why Pistol is being brought up so much now.
Neither do I. I could only follow half of that. So we got the crazy kids who are all sick and they're all becoming these adult synths with superpowers. Like these are
Yes.
not your regular synths that could just get hurt. These guys can jump from mountaintops and just land like a superhero. They're
Superhero
fine.
landing.
They're supposed to be super quick and like they're super intelligent as well, but they still are kids. So they're still immature. They still joke around and they become kind of a hybrid synth Avenger group. However, we never see them trained. And that was one of my, I guess, few cons of the show is that they don't, for a task force that's supposed to be doing so much for humanity and seeing what their like possibilities are, they all seem super afraid when they actually get into the ship where they
So you think they're not as
I don't think they're training them.
professional?
They should. They know that they're kids, but they're not going through the steps of being like, here's how you defend yourself or something like that. They just are expecting that their bodies are going to take care of them now that they're in like indestructible form. Spaceship crashes onto the Earth. So we see the first spaceship from earlier. It crashes into the Earth. It crashes into Prodigy. And that's when the first responders are sent out. The only one we're supposed to really know is Joe, who plays the brother who doesn't realize that his sister, Marcy, has been put into one of these adult bodies. He was told that his sister died
3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, and so his family is obsessed with baseball. That's why his name is Joe DiMaggio.
That's why the second episode's called Mr. October.
But he's like a medic, and his job with the first responders is to go in with them to this crash site and find the people who are hurt. It crashed into a hotel, so they're kind of half spaceship, half hotel, trying to get those guys out of there as well. They don't know that there's all these foreign alien evil creatures aboard that are going to start attacking. However, I do have a beef here because like these are first responders,
Right.
and yet all of them are armed to the teeth with weaponry. They have guns and they have knives, and they're like acting as if it's an invasion rather than a rescue. They only have one medic, and they don't have any PPE. Like this thing just came from the sky. It could have toxic chemicals. You could be in like your body is just not prepared for that thing, but no one's wearing like a protective suit. And so I don't know why in 100 years we would take such a lax approach to something like that.
I agree with you, but maybe it's like some form of evolution. Something happened where like they don't have to be as trained
Well,
as
I think
that.
that's kind of the point of what boy Cavalier is trying to create, is that the next step in evolution is that humans don't even bother trying to fix our own bodies or defeating disease. We instead just transfer them over into a better consciousness.
How did that not remind you of Guardians of the Galaxy 3? The villain there, I think it was like Emperor Hytrus or something, where it's like he had the same thing. He wanted to make AI, but he was actually mad when it turned out that Rocket or like the genetically farmed animals that he was making were actually smarter than him. Here it seems like Boy Cavalier wants that to happen.
Yes. The only thing he said, he doesn't care about money because he's a trillionaire. It's very easy to say that when you have $1 trillion in your
Right.
bank account.
Yeah.
He says he just wants to talk to someone as smart as him. And he thinks that Marcy/Wendy, because she adopts the name Wendy when she switches bodies, is that person, but
Right.
not yet. Because she still is a kid right now. And she is so obsessed with her brother, finding him, telling him she's still alive. She's been watching him through the feeds. And not only does she have the ability to scan whatever feed she wants because she's connected to the internet, she can also, and that's kind of like in the Star Wars, that one kid in the younger Star Wars, Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew.
There was one that controlled like technology.
Right. Yeah.
She's much like that, where she can hack any system and even talk through droids and stuff that are millions of miles away.
I thought, because I'm
Or
over.
sorry, not millions,
But yeah, that are like on a different side of the world. I thought that the most emotional scene, or like the best that the TV series got with emotion, was when it was Joe and Wendy, and they were both watching the the reunion, yes, but I was talking more on like the first episode when they were watching the Ice Age film, and like they were both watching it.
Backstory.
Right, and they were watching it at separate times.
It's weird how, like, in the first Alien, there was absolutely no references to actual things on Earth.
Right.
Like, they kind of avoided that. It's like if you saw Star Wars, Luke had, like, an old disc copy of Scrubs in the background. He's like, I just like to settle down and watch that sometimes. No, but, like, here we see Ice Age mentioned. We see what else? Peter Pan all the time, and then you have this music drop, like freaking Black Sabbath is playing them out at the end. It's such an interesting mix, and it works.
It was two rock songs at the end. What I liked about the Ice Age and Peter Pan, like showing clips of that, was it was a nice juxtaposition to this dark, kind of gory story that you were being shown.
There's that, and then also Neverland is the name of the first episode,
right.
A reference to Michael Jackson's Neverland, how he created his own little world with his money, but also Cavalier himself is kind of a Peter Pan-esque type figure. He sees himself as that, accruing this team of like young kids that he's sticking into adult bodies. And he's also like Willy Wonka.
I was literally just about to say Willy Wonka, because he's a villain. There's no question about it. But technically what he's doing is good. He's making these kids have a terminal illness.
He's improving humanity.
And giving them a life. Yeah.
The interesting thing about it, I've been watching The Institution. It's a little bit how they pull those kids and they promise them that they'll be able to go back. At least he's telling these kids they'll never be able to go back home. But he also says the reason why they can't do it with adult brains is because adult brains don't have the right plasticity, which is 100% correct in the science as we know it right now, is that kids' brains are able to adapt to much more. If you lose a limb when you're very, very young, you're going to become much better attuned to like not using it than later on in life. If you it goes for anything basically. So I liked how it was being accurate to that. But Joe, he is this medic. He has been assigned to this crash site. He's seen it happen. He goes in there. He's one of the first people to figure out that they're not alone. There's the Murrow guy. He's running around and trapping those other, I would call them cops, but like he's making them tied up in the labs.
That scene with the slug was just so
that was our
gross
first introduction of, I think, a kill outside of the original spaceship, right? Like on Earth, this was the first time we saw one of those little monsters, and it wasn't even the alien that we're used to seeing. It wasn't
even the Xenomorph.
Or one of those ones that jump on your face. It was one that just crawled up his neck and just, like a leech.
It took so long. I thought it was going to be trying to go in the ear, the eye, maybe even the mouth and nose, but no, it was just like burrowing into his neck. But going back to Joe, before he goes in the spaceship, I thought that was when the series, and it looks great throughout, but I thought that was when it was the most impressive, because the town that they were in looked straight out of like a movie. Like this looked like it looked great.
The whole thing, I think, felt like a movie to me. At least I feel like I've seen a good fourth of a very, very long movie, but I never got the sense it was a television show. It was, I agree, shot really well. the intensity. I feel like we got more scary action in these 2 episodes than you do usually in the first part of a movie.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
is, you watch Invasion on Apple and you can see how rare that is. The bloodshed I was really happy with. The slurpy leech blood, as disgusting as it was awesome to see. And of course, because what's her face, Marcy, is in touch with the digital platform, she's able to see that her brother is in danger. And so she volunteers the rest of the bunch, all the synths, the hybrid synths, to go in with Kirsch and try to get people out to safety, like join the first responders.
What'd you think of her power? Because, like you said, we saw it earlier when she
Awesome.
jumped off the mountain, but that she's able to like take control of robots.
The mountain thing was goofy, but I don't think she took control. Oh, you mean she just spoke over them?
Right.
Yeah. No, I liked it better when she was doing like the switching of screens and she was moving at a really, really fast pace. We saw Timothy Olyphant's character do that a little bit later too,
Right,
when he was going through places. But yeah, it's awesome to see that. The way that they shoot it doesn't look corny at all. I know that Romulus got into a little bit of trouble because some of it looked CGI. But this I didn't get that from
at all. Yeah.
And so you agree?
Yep.
All right. And so they joined the task force. She quickly finds her brother, but she splits up with the rest of them. Most of them find the eggs. Right. Some of the eggs upstairs. And I like how Timothy Olyphant's or Kirsch's character tells one of them to just keep his eyes on there. And as a kid, he just like refuses to stop looking at it.
What I like about some of the horror of that is that like it didn't even take the Xenomorphs like coming out. The just the sight of the eggs, I already was like, oh my, because there's like 4 or 5 in the room, right?
In the first place, near the med bay, absolutely, because that's where the leech bugs are, and also that weird eyeball bug that was living in the cat.
Mm-hmm.
The cat obviously is a callback to all the other films where it seemed like
that was a crazy scene where the eyeball jumps out and it turns into like this half-life creature.
It was great foreshadowing because in the first few minutes we did see that eyeball creature. It was in one of the vats, and it was at that time protected, like it couldn't get out. And then the other thing that was foreshadowing to me, at least, was when the synths were back at home before they had joined the mission and were talking about how they couldn't die. Because I think that when the guy was making jokes about like, oh, I guess we could get stomped or something like that, I think that's going to happen, at least to a couple of them. But it'd be sad because they're kids. But they're now kids in adult bodies, so it's less intense, I guess.
Yeah, you're talking about the Lost Boys, right? Or is the Lost Boys?
The Lost Boys are the Peter Pan group. So if they call themselves the Lost Boys, it makes a lot of sense. Because they're shown Peter Pan as they transfer bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're all in the spaceship at this point, trying to help. They figure out about these alien creatures, and Timothy Olyphant says, hey, and we're in the second episode at this point, get downstairs. He's talking to Marcy. I don't care if you bring your brother, and bring the other hybrid synth with you, and you guys take control of this because we can't have it getting out onto Earth. If there's an infestation on Earth, we're screwed. It's like RimWorld. You don't want those aliens invested.
You know what's going to happen. The show is called Alien Earth.
Yeah. And then there's the final scene, and we have Joe there, and I just don't understand. Well, I guess his sister is still young enough where she doesn't get it, but I would be holding him back. When he starts getting really close to those eggs, and he's just like looking, so he's the only human of the bunch.
Yeah.
And she doesn't like pull him aside and say, hey, you're sticking around. She also does something that's very foreshadowy. When she first gets to the crash site, she hears this buzzing, and she asks the other ones if they hear it.
Right.
And if you remember when the actual show starts, and I think even in the 70s movie, the way that they simulated the quietness of space was they were doing a buzz for the audience.
Right.
So there's that like kind of antique sounding classic movie buzz that
eerie,
you hear.
Very eerie.
And I'm wondering if that's kind of the buzz, because she does hear a louder buzz as the monster gets closer. But I wonder if she's kind of echoing what the audience can see in that case.
Well, I mean, she is the main character. I'm just trying to understand how powerful she is, because Boy Cavalier made it seem like she's supposed to be incredibly powerful.
Well, she's supposed to be the smartest of them.
Right. She's supposed to be kind of almost like the chosen one, but then it just seems like at different situations, they kind of seem to like fluctuate her power a little bit.
So first, let's just end it where the alien jumps, and he sees that they're near the eggs. He comes, or he or she runs in there and and sees that Joe is the closest one to it and grabs Joe and jumps away.
Mhm.
Now, we saw in the first Alien, sometimes they wouldn't kill outright. They would take them kind of as bait.
Right.
And then so I think that's what he's doing with Joe. However, I feel like that alien, because it's very smart, should just kill him. Like, honestly, that would probably have, because we've seen the alien kill multiple humans at once. It doesn't know that these guys are synths. And even if it did, I don't understand why it just wouldn't try to kill all three of them and then not. Like, why would it need to lay a trap at
Well,
this point?
once again, why did it not kill Morrow? Like, what was the
Well,
situation there?
Murrow was very lucky at one point, but all the other times he kind of saved himself. Like, the guy can shapeshift as a android, right?
Yeah.
Or no, cyborg. He can. We saw him kind of do the Terminator move where he made his hand into a knife. And so, like, I think he can adapt to fighting the what was it called, Xenomorph?
Xenomorph, yeah.
But I agree with you that we haven't seen the synths fight it yet, because I think they will be. That would be one of my complaints of the 2 episodes, is we didn't get the payoff of that. They
Mhm.
kept on promising it, and then we didn't actually get to see them like take it down. We did get to see the Xenomorph trap by Murrow, which was pretty cool.
Right. But
Okay.
this seems like it's also alien Earth. I thought that it was just going to be like one alien, but it seems like this is setting up to be like all aliens, more like Aliens than anything else, the sequel to it.
You think because it'd be funny if it was just that one that keeps it. Like, they destroy all the eggs and it's just like running around the entire movie.
Yeah,
killing everybody.
especially just like on this huge, vast landscape. I feel like they'd be able to take it down.
Yeah. So is that a con of yours, or are we doing pros, cons? How's that work?
I had that a little bit listed as a con.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll go through my pros. I said doesn't skimp on the alien, the reverse of expectations. When we first see in the first few minutes, they introduce Mr. Tang, who is like this creepy synth who just keeps on staring at the girl, and then they complete, like, he's not even important at all.
That is actually a big pro that I had. I thought that when we were introduced to the crew, that was going to be the crew that we were following.
I had a sneaky suspicion that he was doing exactly what he ended up doing, but only because I knew it was Noah Hawley. That was the only reason. I was like, oh, this is going to surpass my expectations. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and then like they end up dying like within the first 10 minutes. I was like,
there may be one survivor. We don't know. But
maybe. But
yeah.
It was just funny, yeah, seeing like Michael Smiley and all these people, they just do not have, like, they're probably not going to be in the show aside from flashbacks.
He also didn't milk the brother-sister reunion for like 4 episodes down the line. They kind of did what they did in Arcane, where they knew that that's what people wanted to see, was Jinx and her sister V like at least see each other, and so it was nice to see that happen.
I was especially afraid because like when they first see each other, I thought Wendy was just going to keep the secret, but yeah,
the other kid was just like spilling it all.
Yeah.
No, that was funny. I think also the actress, who I know is like in her late 20s, does a good job embodying like a younger version of herself. So in that way, it's like Citadel Diana, where the character played 2 versions. It's also sort of like Fallout. I feel like the beginning where we learn Ella Purnell's character, she's very naive and innocent. I know she's a grown up, like she's having sex and everything, but like her, I guess, yeah, the naivety of believing that her life is one way, and then she's going to learn some tough truths, I think, over the course of however many episodes this is. Usually an alien film is all about action, not as much heart, because they just can't afford to have it. It's literally a space horror. The fact that they've infused it with this brother-sister bond so early makes it like it's either going to be a tragedy, or they're adding a new element to the Alien franchise where they're actually like, oh, people can survive and have productive lives after.
You can even connect it to Alien Romulus, right? Because Alien Romulus, Kaylee Spaney, well, not the ending, but Kaylee Spaney and her brother is like a cyborg in that movie, but it has a similar thing there. Fallout, I think, was a good comparison. For me, El Eternata, I think it's going to turn into that. Not so much right now, but I feel like, especially with like aliens invading Earth, that's what the series is going to, like, that's where it's heading.
I would say Murderbot. That feels like such an easy one.
Absolutely.
But in Murderbot, it's only one conglomeration that controls everything. In this one, it's 5 competing sections. And you asked earlier, like, why? What is the point of this ship? What is Murrow's thing? Like, we see him constantly killing humans, but he's hunting this alien down. Why is he doing it? And we learned that one of the other, what are they called? Organizations is called like the Yutani one, right?
Yeah.
The Wayland Yutani one. And she, the person representing that, calls boy Cavalier at one point. He's also a very cavalier dude, so that's why they name him that. But like she calls and she's like, "So I want to send my own research team over to pick up this stuff, and don't even worry about it." And that gets his little red flags up, and he's like, "No, no, no, you're not allowed over here, or we'll attack you, or like we'll see it as a hostile act or something like that."
Do
So
you think? I know we said that he's evil, but do you think that he's fully evil? I just like
yeah,
as
you brought that up several times now. I mean, he doesn't care. I don't think about whether or not these kids had survived or not. Like but I do think that he's not as evil as like he's not greedy. I don't think.
It's not so much like I'm talking about, like, he's done all of the good things for the characters. The reason I'm bringing it up so much is because I just can't imagine him being, with the way that they've portrayed him, like being a one season villain. And I think he's gonna have like a turn. Like with, for example, Negan in The Walking Dead, it was such a swift turnaround, but I feel like here it's almost gonna be like he's kind of invincible Omni-Man or whoever J.K. Simmons played, where it's like it's gonna take some time, but I don't think he's going to be just pure evil.
He's got everything he ever wanted, right? Except for the fact that he doesn't have a peer of his intellect. And so what he's waiting for, at least with what's going on with the spaceship, is to see if something in this intrigues him. And so he's watching behind a bunch of computer monitors at home. He's not going to take that threat very seriously until he sees it eradicate a good portion of his team or come after him. Like, if it invades the Earth, if aliens invade the Earth and they're everywhere and his entire country is like overrun, then I think he'll start acting a little bit differently. But up until then, I think he's going to trust Timothy Olyphant, Kirsch's character, to kind of take care of everything. I liked how Kirsch was able to show several different like emotions despite the fact that he's so stoic most of the time. So like he's talking about how you shouldn't be he's afraid of anything. You're a synth. You can tackle all problems. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, what's he going to do when he actually is faced against his own death? Because I think he will probably die, but I don't know how or when.
You're very stuck on that. It might happen. I did like, though, kind of what you were talking about, where it's like Wendy, she's not supposed to feel any emotions, but really that's her whole character arc. She cares about her brother. She wants to save him.
I don't think she's all that emotional about anything else, though, because like Dame Sylvia or Damis Sylvia, the one who's like kind of the mother figure, she's meant to be sort of a psychologist to her, helping her adapt. They're trying to put hormones into her to make her like symbolize adolescence or puberty, to get it more reflective in her own brain so she doesn't become robotic. I feel like the only way to keep her humanity is via the humor of being a kid. Like, because you can tell the kids are still kids, but also because of that connection with her brother. The other ones, though, I don't know as they grow into their bodies whether or not they're going to be able to retain their humanity.
With the kids still kind of being kids, it reminded me a little bit of Logan as well.
Did it remind you of Matt Damon in Elysium when he was talking to the droid?
And he starts like mimicking or mocking it, I think.
Yeah, because in this, you had Joe talking to the droid and it denies his application to go become a doctor.
Yeah, actually, come to think of it, that scene is almost exactly.
It's very similar. And then Alita Battle Angel, for some reason, I guess, because the hybrid thing.
I had Annihilation due to tone. What would you give the series out of 10?
I'm just making sure I ran through all my cons, the PPE stuff, I kept waiting for the synths to show what they could do, and they didn't get to that. Brother Joe should have died from the alien attack. I think the Reggie Jackson baseball thing, because the second episode's called Mr. October, and they put the whole thing of the fact that his father or their father, Marcy and Joe's father,
did you feel it was like thrown in?
I was like, 1977. Why would they be so connected to that like time period? It's not like they were born.
Yeah, it's almost like 150 years beforehand.
Yeah, it was so random. And I kept on trying to think if in Legion that there was like a bunch of baseball stuff. Like maybe he's just a huge fan. He's definitely a Yankee fan because Joe DiMaggio, Reggie Jackson, those are both Yankees. But like, I guess we'll see as the series goes on. In Defying Gravity, that space series from like 10, 15 years ago, they also had like an astronaut who had like a baseball, and that was like his token that he brought from Earth with him. So maybe because it's...
No, I do remember that.
You remember that? And then I think in Jeremy Renner's character from the show you were talking, The Untouchables or whatever it's called, that he was a professional baseball player before he became a detective. But I could be wrong about that. As far as where we think the series is going to take us, if there's this many episodes left, but it's gone at this pace and this rate right now, and it doesn't let up, right now I'm willing to give the first 2 episodes a 9 out of 10. This was
9 out of 10.
I really, really, really like the show. What are the reviews talking about, and what did you think?
I was going to give it an 8 out of 10. I know some people kind of brought up the pacing. They're a little afraid at how fast it's
Right.
going because they're not sure if the
Keep
next
it up.
6 episodes. But from everything I've read, it seems like it will. It has a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, 8.3 or 8.5 on IMDb. But like NPR said that Alien Earth is one of the best shows so far this year. IGN actually matched your score and gave it a 9 out of 10 and said that Noah Hawley made an amazing piece of science fiction.
This is not the first time he's adapted. So like Fargo, he's taken Coen Brothers' work and adapted that. And now he's taken Ridley Scott and James Cameron's work and adapted that. He's kind of like Mike Flanagan at this point, where I feel like you could stick him with most projects except anything with Natalie Portman or like 2-hour movies. I don't know what went wrong, but something was so bad with that movie.
It's funny because Sydney Chandler, she read the pilot to this and then she learned that he was filming season 5 of Fargo. So at like 2 a.m. she called her like a manager and was like, where is Noah Hawley? And then she ended up.
She probably called her dad.
I
don't think she had a manager. I think she was just like, Dad, get me on the show.
She flew over to where they were filming Fargo and had dinner with him later that night. And she said that's how she got the job. And then I think I said that Timothy Olyphant.
Yeah, because every actress in Hollywood gets that sort of like when they're starting out. Okay, I'm done making fun of her, but like, no, she did a great job.
Yeah, and then USA Today said Alien Earth is everything Alien fans could want. One of the few negative reviews I found was from Vulture. They said you rarely feel any of the emotional beats, and it felt too much like Blade Runner. Like, did you
First of all,
feel
Blade Runner is considered a very good set by itself, right?
Right.
And as far as emotions, when you go into an Alien movie, I can tell you like the first 2 were not about any sort of romance or like the only emotion you really had to feel was fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at several points, this TV series probably made me more afraid than most TV series I've seen. I mean, think about it.
I'm trying to think of other horror TV shows. Yeah, no, I mean, like
Hysteria? What? What are we talking
well,
about? Here?
Like, yeah, no.
Like, we'll get like some jump scares every once in a while, but like when it comes to actually like intense buildup and creepy vibes, but like not the ones that are fishy or so cheap, like it's good.
For me, when I think about like invasion, I think about wanting to see the aliens rip up people. But here, I actually care so much about the characters. It's like, yeah, I don't want to see them get
I want to
attacked.
see what happens when it tries to rip one of them up.
Right.
Because they're supposed to be like, I guess, Velcro. It was weird when the alien just took out that entire hotel room in a span of like 2 seconds. Like, it is that brutally killing.
What a weird motel room, and that was hard to watch with a guy that had no legs. Hotel,
but like the Murrow guy, like being able to grab one and then drag it along with him, like he's a wild card. He might have a turn. That's where I would see the turn for the good, because he's been so evil so far. Yeah. So I think he will have a turn when they like reorient him or something. That's it.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Hope you enjoyed this one. Bye.
Bye.